tell you hands down that today was one of the most challenging meetings that I've had to participate in. And that's because no employer wants to be in the position of contemplating layoffs. But certainly as the impacts of COVID-19 continue to affect our community, this difficult decision was something that Council had to make. Many local employers, and I don't have to tell people watching or people who are going to be hearing these remarks, many local employers have already taken similar action, whether FCA, Ford, the casino, dozens and dozens of small businesses that have already let staff go. I can tell you that the City of Windsor is not immune in our business. When we sent staff home 2 weeks ago, we kept them on payroll, and Council thought that that was the right thing to do, and I agree. But I know that hundreds of Windsor families dealing with economic challenges, individual layoffs that families are facing, pay rollbacks that some folks are having to take, and again, family businesses with much slower sales. And it would be absolutely unfair for those families to continue to fund the paychecks of municipal employees who have been sent home but who are unable to contribute from home. So yesterday, senior staff and I met with the two CUPE locals, and certainly I'm happy to report that we came to an understanding that is in the process of being formalized into a memorandum of agreement. And I want to stress that we have done everything possible to keep as many staff contributing in a productive and meaningful way, thereby limiting the number of staff who will no longer receive pay. In total, 541 staff members will no longer be receiving pay. These are largely going to impact the culture and recreation staff who normally deliver programs associated with our arenas, with our pools, with our community centers, all of which are now closed. Now, to support these individuals, the City of Windsor is going to do everything possible to help transition these employees to one of the new federal government programs. Enhanced EI and the new Canada Emergency Response Benefit now offer $2,000 per month for Canadians impacted by COVID-19. Transitioning these employees over to these federal government programs is the most appropriate process at this time. Additionally, 250 employees who had been sent home 2 weeks ago will be called back into active duty to help support the ongoing activity of the municipality, including enhanced cleaning and screening activities, supporting the delivery of social services, and participating in community supports such as the Hiram Walker program and supporting the delivery and distribution of hand sanitizer throughout the community. All of these employees called back will be deployed to tasks that allow for appropriate social distancing while still providing meaningful work. To the greatest extent possible, we are deploying technology to allow as many employees to contribute from home. More than 120 are already working from home, and our IT department continues to support this effort to keep only about 10 to 15% of the staff in our office at any given time. And finally, I want to be absolutely clear on this one point. Nothing in this decision, and no decision that was made today, frankly, had anything to do with finding savings on the back of our employees. The costs associated with the municipal response to COVID-19 includes dozens of unbudgeted costs that far exceed any savings associated with these staff reductions. As I said, this was a challenging decision, but the right one for our community at this time. And I hope that every one of the individuals impacted will be back on board in due course. I also wanted to talk to you about the transit rebate. And the second major decision that Council made today was to establish an equitable rebate for transit users impacted by the temporary suspension of service. As I've said in the past, the order to temporarily suspend public transit was a difficult one for me to make, and I knew that this was going to impact users. I didn't issue the order to suspend the transit system. I did not issue that order in an effort to win a popularity contest. I did it to try and save lives. And I appreciate that the situation that now exists has impacted many transit users of our system, and I asked our administration and Mr. Colucci to develop a plan to rebate as much as possible. So we've prepared a recommendation to Council that will provide support for anyone who has a regular Transit Windsor bus pass. First, the student union at the University of Windsor would receive a payment equivalent to about $25 per student, or a cumulative total to us of about $300,000. Second, for those regular pass holders, adults, students, and seniors, we are going to establish a $50 payment. Folks will need to apply. They will need to show proof, but we want to make this as easy as possible, and the details will be online shortly about that process. And third, and perhaps most significantly, City Hall tracks about 2,500 low-income and vulnerable individuals who receive a bus pass as part of their social assistance. For this category, we already have the contact information for all of these individuals, and we will immediately process a $75 payment via check to be sent to these individuals. And I know that these measures may not cover all of the additional costs associated with private transportation at this time, but this represents about a $600,000 payment by City Council that they're going to spend to support those who need the help getting around town at this particular time. Finally, I would just like to acknowledge that Council also gave approval to waive the interest for wastewater charges on N1 utility bills as early as today, April the 1st, and lasting for a period of 90 days. And this is just another example of the City of Windsor and our partner agencies taking steps to make life just a little bit easier while we all cope with the impacts of COVID-19 in our community. So thank you for listening to these remarks, and certainly happy to take questions at this time.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. CTV.
All right. I guess my first question is, what's the breakdown between inside and outside workers inside that 541 number?
Mr. Colucci is looking it up right now.
So the vast majority of the workers that are impacted will be within Local 543. These are your seasonal employees, programs that get conducted only if there is a program to be had. Obviously, with the restrictions in place, that is not the case. So of the 541, the vast majority of those are indeed 543. There's probably in the 30 range as an estimate from Local 82, which is the external employees.
How does this affect their existing collective bargaining agreements?
Well, we've certainly had very good discussions yesterday. Myself, Valerie Critchley, who handles our HR relations, employee relations, and the mayor met with both Local 82 and Local 543 presidents. It was a very cordial meeting. There was wide agreement on just about everything. In fact, I think there was agreement on everything. So we are going ahead with the full concurrence of the union leadership, who realize that these are uncertain times and we have to do what we have to do for the benefit of both our employees, but also for the people of Windsor that pay our salaries.
Thank you. Blackburn, please, for 2.
Yes, I'm just wondering, the decision to lay off as opposed to maybe the municipalities can't use the wage subsidy program that the federal government was that put out that they get 75% that they would cover those wages. Does the municipality not qualify for that?
Yeah, so the city does not qualify for that 75% wage subsidy. It doesn't. Municipalities or other levels of government are exempt from that. They don't. They're not permitted to participate.
Okay, that answers that then. And so you said you're going to be helping them with their EIs and the Canadian Emergency Relief Benefit Program. So how are you going to help your employees with that?
Yeah, so anyone who needs a record of employment or any documentation to accelerate their application, we will get that documentation to them forthwith without delay and make sure that they have everything they need from an employer perspective to be able to make their application online through the EI program.
I can confirm that. We absolutely will make this top priority. We want our valued employees to certainly get the benefits they could get as soon as possible, and we will do whatever it takes to make sure that we have timely responses to any of their requests.